Okay, today what I'm going to do is look at the Australian election charts, and I'm looking at Albanese's and Morrison's charts and comparing those with what I think will be the likely outcome of the election. Now, I haven't got the selfie stick yet or other little things that would make this video better, so forgive me if it's not perfect in that sense. I will improve though, because I'll get the gist of these things. Now, what I'm doing is using Vedic astrology, sidereal zodiac, and I'm comparing their charts and making a judgment who's likely to win the election. We've got Morrison, the incumbent, and he is currently running the dasher of Venus and Bhakti of Saturn. Now, for both of these people, I do not have a time, which would give me a lot more information. So I've done a midday chart for Sydney for their birth dates. Morrison is the 13th of May, 68, and Albanese is the let me just flick over. He's the 2nd of, is it March, 63. I'm reading my writing now, yep. And yeah, that's what I've got. Now, so we're looking at Morrison, who has Venus in Aries with exalted sun, and it's in its own nakshatra. It's in the sign owned by Mars and in the constellation of Venus, known as nakshatra in Vedic. Now, there's 12 signs, which most people are familiar with, but there's additionally 27 signs, which are of 13 degrees 20 minutes, called constellations in the Vedic system, which you also use. And the star ruler of those is significant, so you can't overlook it. And the dasha system is based on the moon at birth, and it's a timing system of what planet rules when. And he's currently got Venus in Aries, and at midday, it may vary a bit if he's born at midnight or something, but he's Bhakti for a midday chart is Saturn. Now, Saturn is in the constellation of Mercury. And Mercury, where is it? It's in the Taurus. Now, just looking at that, we have Saturn is in the 12th house of loss from the dasher lord. That's not great. From Moon, it's not badly placed. From Sun, it's badly placed, as in Aries. So it rules the 10th house of career from the position of the dasher lord and from Sun. So it falls into the 12th house of loss. So you look at that and you think, not great. He's running up for election, and that's it, the timing of his election. That's not brilliant, having them in that relationship. Saturn's the 10th lord, good. Career, prominence. In the 12th house, not so good. From the dasher lord, not from the actual ascendant, which I don't know what it is. So I'm looking at that and thinking, not great. Now, he's got other factors in his chart, like he's got a debilitated moon in Scorpio. And as a politician, Sun in Aries gives confidence, which you see a lot of, and it's aspected by Jupiter, which would increase that. But debilitated moon wouldn't give an awful lot of empathy for the general public and the population, and for women. Not great on that account. Now, then we'll look at Anthony Albanese's chart and see how that's doing. Again, a midday chart for Sydney, and we'll look at his current dasher lord, which is Saturn, and it's in Capricorn, and it's with friends, Mercury, Venus. It's also with Ketu, which Ketu K2 can be troublesome, but when it's with beneficial planets, it usually gives a better effect. So in this case, I wouldn't rule it as troublesome. It would make a lot of difference knowing the ascendant to know where it is, but I don't know that, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to look at it from the sun and the moon and from the Dasha Lord only. Now, from the moon, it's in the 9th house. That's with a moon in Taurus. That's very nice. Exalted moon. Different temperament entirely to Morrison. Exalted moon would make him a lot nicer as a person, because he's more friendly to women and more peaceful and more, just nicer. His Mars is debilitated, hence his perception of him as a weaker personality. It's less assertive having Mars there. So he hasn't got the kind of more aggressive nature of Morrison with Sun and Moon in Mars's signs. He's got Mars in a moon sign, and he's got Sun in Aquarius with Jupiter. I mean, that's a good combination, Sun or the luminaries with Jupiter. He's also got Moon in an angle to Jupiter, which is Gajeskari Yoga, which means it will increase the popularity of someone. I'm just checking if Morrison's got that. Yeah, he's got it as well. He's got Moon with an angle to Jupiter. So that would give popularity. In his case, it's a debilitated moon, so not fabulous. And he's got that, plus he's got Sun with Jupiter. So he's got the aspects that would make him a leader. Both of them have that. Now, what else have we got going? So his main period is Saturn, and his sub-period at midday is Venus. Now, Saturn is in the star of Mars, and Mars is debilitated, hence his perception that he's not as assertive as Morrison. And Venus is in the star of Sun, which is with Jupiter, so his sub-period is quite nice. Now, looking at it in their relationship to each other, the main period and the sub-period are conjunct and they're friendly to each other. And from their own house, from their own positions, they rule good houses. Now, what does that mean in Vedic? Something is known as a Raja Yoga. If it's a combination of an angle and a trine. And that means the rulers of the 1, 4, 7 and 10 are angles, and trines are 1, 5, 9. And the strongest of these are 9 and 10. So what we see here is Saturn is the ruler of 1 house from itself. Venus is the ruler of 10 and 5. Very nice. So it rules an angle and a trine. And Mercury rules 9. And also 6. But, we're not looking at that at the moment. So we're looking at the main angle and trine rulers from Capricorn, all together in Capricorn. Very, very strong. K2 could help that. I mean, it won't be a smooth ride entirely because you've got all the malefics hammering there. We've got Saturn, K2, and an aspect of Mars. That's not exactly an easy aspect, but the fact that they're all angles and trines together, I think could well go quite well for him. I think that's quite a good indication. That definitely it would be a battle because of the malefics aspecting it. However, I would be inclined to think his chart is in a much stronger position than Morrison's at this point in time to win this election. But the aspects of, having Saturn there, which is a natural malefic, K2, and the aspect from Mars, fairly, I think there'd be strong opposition to not just the election, but what he'll be doing at this time. So I think there'll be a certain amount of opposition, but I reckon there's a strong chance of him getting in my opinion, with that combination, as against Morrison's, which is much weaker. Now, if he had a different opponent, it may different because it's the strength of them compared to each other. Morrison's is much weaker. I can't see him winning against Albanese looking at those two charts. I believe that from looking at that, I don't know if I need to explain any more about it, but the Venus is the Bhakti, ruling the 10th and the 5th house, two very strong houses, and Saturn rules one, and Mercury further strengthens it by ruling the 9th house from the house of Capricorn and using the Dasha Lord as ascendant. If then I look at it from the position of Moon in Taurus, you also get similar strength. Saturn would be the 9th and 10th Lord, giving it an unparalleled strength for Capricorn in its own sign in the 9th. Mercury would be the 5th ruler, and Venus would be the 1st. It rules the sign of Taurus, and together in 9, that would be pretty strong. So it's got two levels of strength, regardless of what the ascendant is: strength from its own position and strength from the moon. From the sun's position, I'm having a look at that now, is in the 12th house, so not as good, because it's in the house of loss. But they again rule, Venus from there would rule the 4th and 9th, and Mercury would rule the 5th, and Saturn would rule the 1st. So that's pretty good, but in the 12th house of loss, not so good. So there is problems in it. It's not problem free, but it looks pretty good. So I would conclude that he's much more likely to win this election than Morrison, based on that.